If you're feeling triggered by my use of the term adult in this way, my podcast is probably not for you. I'm going to shoot it straight, and I'm going to talk to you like you absolutely can handle this. I can't stand when people say to me, I just don't trust myself.
Who the f*** am I to tell you what to do with your money?
My name is Priya Malani, ex-Merrill Lynch, ex-Wall Street, extremely type A, the kind of crazy you want in charge of your cash. Currently managing millions of hardworking dollars for hardworking, high-earning 30-somethings like yourself. Whatever phase you're in, financially free, fixing it,
Or feeling totally
my job is to teach you the stuff that no one else is going to. Enough foreplay. Take off the jeans, put on the sweats, grab a glass, and let's talk
money.
Welcome to the F word. Smart money.
No toll.
Hey guys, today we're talking about credit cards. It's by far one of my all-time favorite things to talk about because the credit card industry is one of the easiest systems to game if you know what you're doing. So let's get into it. This is one of the places where I really earn my Rebel of Wall Street stripes. Just a quick reminder, I don't get paid to sell products, so I'm here to give you no BS advice. That means I'm not going to tell you which credit card is the best because honestly, the industry has turned into a bit of a circus. Benefits and incentives are always changing to lure in new subscribers and just one-up the competition. And with it being such a moving target, it makes it kind of hard to offer solid, lasting advice. Plus, it really kind of depends on your lifestyle. If you travel more, you might prefer the Amex Platinum for the lounges. If you don't, the Chase Sapphire Reserve could be a better fit. There are plenty of options when it comes to premium cards. These are just two of the most frequently touted by our clients, and they seem to be happy with them. But what I am saying is that as a high earner, it likely does make sense to pay for one of the premium credit cards. Again, if you know what you're doing, which by the end of this, you definitely will. For starters, so many people assume credit cards are bad news. And I think it's because we've been taught by the credit card industry to think of credit cards as free money. It's probably also because we've all been in a little over our heads or know someone who has. Many of you know that part of why I started my company, Stash Wealth, was because I grew up around a lot of stress when it came to money. Even with a solid six-figure income, money was just this dark cloud over my childhood and our family. And I really could never understand that. Why is money so hard, even when there's enough of it? I told you guys in the last episode about the couple in Connecticut earning $650,000 with a mountain of debt. I've also seen people making $50,000 with no bad debt. So to be clear, this is not an issue of how much money you make. It's an issue of how you manage it. Not only is it important for you to get control of your finances so that you can live your best life, but it's imperative that you model great habits for future generations because you don't want to pass on that financial anxiety. So it's important that you know how to use a credit card like an adult. Let me break that down. If you've ever listened to the Dave Ramsey podcast, I'm about to throw some shade. Almost everyone who calls in is in a shit ton of credit card debt. But the answer isn't to abandon credit cards and debt instruments altogether. It's simply to learn how to use them effectively and properly, like an adult. If you're feeling triggered by my use of the term adult in this way, my podcast is probably not for you. I'm going to shoot it straight, and I'm going to talk to you like you absolutely can handle this. I can't stand when people say to me, I just don't trust myself. All right. So let's talk about how to use your credit card the right way. My first piece of advice is to use your credit card like a debit card. Instead of thinking of your credit card as free money, start thinking of it as a smarter way to spend the money you already have. This obviously means you don't buy anything with your credit card that you don't already have the cash for. I'm going to say that again. Don't buy anything with your credit card that you don't already have the cash for. That way, you'll never have to deal with a balance you can't pay off, which, as I've talked about in a previous episode, is a pretty good indication that you're living a lifestyle you can't afford. The next thing I want to address is those of you who are still using the same credit card from your college days. It's definitely time to upgrade. And if you're using a credit card from the same place you bank, like maybe there was a credit union or a regional bank branch on your college campus that signed you up for, I guess, their starter card when you went in to open a checking or savings account freshman year, it might be worth noting that you don't have to do that. And likely you shouldn't still be using that card. Instead, you want to find a card that actually works for you. And those starter cards almost never do. And this is where your research comes in. You want to find a credit card that has a rewards program that aligns nicely with the things you're already spending your money on. This way, you can maximize rewards points or cash back. But, it's a big but, don't get caught up in the details that don't matter. For example, the annual fee. When you're doing your research, the annual fee for the premium cards is high. It's a couple $100. Yet, it will pale in comparison to the benefits you get when you're using the right card. There are a ton of sites where you can just hop online and input what you spend in various categories like groceries, travel, dining out, gas, whatever it is. And it will recommend credit cards that have rewards programs that you'll actually get a lot out of. Okay, now we're going to get into the fun stuff. And by fun, I mean controversial, but it's fun for me. First, you shouldn't think too hard about the annual percentage rate, also called APR, because as long as you're paying your credit card balance off in full every single month, surprise, the APR is irrelevant. It should not drive any part of the decision when searching for a credit card because it won't impact you at all if you're using your credit card like a debit card. That is, using it to make purchases you know you can cover when the bill comes due. If you've ever been confused when trying to read your credit card statement, you'll probably agree that credit card companies feed into this idea that credit cards are free money by essentially making you think that you only owe the minimum every month. Like that's the number they highlight. That's what they make big is your minimum. But if you only pay your minimum every month, the APR most definitely does matter. And that's when the credit card companies start winning and you lose. Huge. So again, if you're paying your balance off in full every month, then you don't need to consider the APR when picking a card. As someone who has been using a credit card for over 20 something years, I've never paid a penny in interest. That's because the APR on your credit card does not matter if you're paying your balance off in full and on time. And I'm going to tell you exactly how to make that foolproof. Before we get there, I just want to clear up another credit card misconception that if you really want to save money, you should only use your debit card instead. Flat out no. Here's why. Debit cards generally don't offer the same benefits as credit cards. They don't have rewards programs. They're a pain to replace if lost or stolen. And they don't come with any of the extras that you get with credit cards, especially the premium credit cards. Price protection, rental car insurance, airport lounge access, fraud protection, cash back, just to name a few. Now, there are some newer debit cards that have started offering basic rewards or perks by some of these fintechs, but they still don't or rarely stack up to what your credit cards typically provide, the premium credit cards. So when it comes to maximizing your spending power and protection, I'm just saying this, credit cards win, hands down. Now, one small change, I used to say that you should put your entire life on a credit card, a life you can afford, obviously, except for rent. But with the emergence of the built credit card, I've changed my stance. As of the time of this recording, if you want to put your rent or mortgage on a credit card, the built card is the only one worth considering. It's the only currently card on the market that lets you put your rent or mortgage on the card without charging a transaction fee. And frankly, it's a game changer. I use it myself. The rewards program is robust. I kind of hope it stays that way. I live in New York, and now whenever I need to rent a car, I actually just use my built points, and it's beautiful. It's a great way to use my rewards for something I would otherwise be out of pocket for. And for those of you who are listening who live in the area, you know that renting a car in New York is no joke. It's actually really, really cheap to do with the built credit card. Here's the thing. If you're using literally any other credit card for your rent or mortgage, which I often hear people say that they do, you're likely paying much more in your transaction fees, which are typically around 3%, than you're earning in the rewards or cash back. So technically, you're net negative, plain and simple. I'm going to leave a link for the Built card in the show notes if you want to learn more. Okay, I said I would show you how to make paying off your credit card foolproof. We've been talking about this hack for almost 10 years, and while it sounds pretty basic, it's a total game changer. Here it is. Instead of making a payment to your credit card when the statement says it's due, pay your balance off the day after your billing cycle closes. The logic here is that you wipe the slate clean and start fresh for the next month. This way, when you log into your credit card site or app, you're always seeing a fresh month worth of charges. Frankly, I think the way that credit card companies lay out their sites or their apps or their statements is intended to confuse us. So I'll give you an example. Like, let's say your billing cycle closes on the 11th of the month, and the statement suggests that your payment is due on the 29th. They're banking on the fact that all the charges you put on the card from the 11th onward till the time you pay your bill off on the 29th will just get piled on top of last month's charges. So when you go to make the payment, you're kind of seeing 2-ish months or 1.5 months worth of charges, which makes the balance look bigger and scarier. And so you just end up paying the minimum. And that's when they start collecting that APR, that interest. So if you've ever logged into your credit card and thought, yeah, I don't know what all these numbers mean, I'm literally not kidding. I did that recently too. And I was just like, this is so wild. It's so hard to read. So this hack is really for all of us. From now on, pay off your entire balance as soon as the billing cycle closes, and you'll eliminate all the confusion. There's one thing you can do to make this work seamlessly. You may not know, but you can actually change the dates of your billing cycle. Currently, the date has probably just been set arbitrarily based on whenever you opened your credit card. But you can call the number on the back of your card and ask them to change the billing cycle so that it lines up nicely with the end of the month. Some credit card companies are a little annoying about this, but most reps take care of it right away. And some cards like Amex even let you do it through their online messaging, like their chatbot. Moving the billing cycle to line up with the calendar month makes it way easier to tell how much you've spent throughout the month. So, for example, let's say you knew that you could safely charge $5,000 a month on your credit card and pay it off in full. So, if you log in on the 15th of the month, like halfway through the month, and you saw that you had a balance already of $3,000, you would know you have 5 minus 3, $2,000 left to spend that month. It's obviously important to know how much you can safely put on your credit card, like AKA what kind of lifestyle you can afford. And getting to the bottom of that is definitely something we're going to talk about in future episodes. On that note, I want to make a clear distinction between the lifestyle you can afford versus the lifestyle afforded to you by your company. Usually, if you're in a sales or some sort of revenue producing, income producing role, you may have access to an expense account at work. In this case, if your company doesn't provide you with a corporate card and instead expects you to put all your work charges on your personal card, I suggest getting a separate card just for your work stuff. Reason being, almost everybody I talk to is terrible at submitting their expense reports on time, which could leave you in a situation where you don't have the funds to pay off your balance in full every month. And that's when you can start getting yourself into a hole that affects you personally. So having a dedicated work card makes it easier to track your personal life instead of mixing it up with work-related charges that you need to wait on submitting your expense reports and getting reimbursed. That cycle sometimes can just get messy. Another common question that I see is, how many cards should I have? If you've got several cards or old cards or store cards, I'm going to kind of lay out the quick and dirty right now. So store cards, go ahead and close those unless you opened one to finance a large, and I mean large purchase at 0%. And even if you did, you're done paying it off, that card is no longer serving you. Studies show that we tend to spend more money at a store once we open their store card. So all the savings you got up front, they eventually get back. That's easy. That one, just close. Credit cards with bullshit rewards, unless it's your oldest card, you can close those too, or no rewards. If I just stop some of you dead in your tracks because you're thinking I'm telling you to slash your credit limits left and right, here's the deal. If you're managing your credit cards right, closing a few isn't going to tank your score, or it may tank your score temporarily. But as long as you're using your credit wisely, that will come right back. It'll bounce right back. You don't have to hoard a bunch of credit cards with weak rewards just for the sake of available credit. Keep the ones that actually benefit you and get rid of the rest. Currently, I have 4 cards in my name, only 2 of which I use. I use my Bilt and I use my Amex. My Bilt, obviously, for my rent. And I also have the American Airlines and the Marriott Bonvoy because I like the free night. Currently, my credit score is in 800. And if there's an opportunity for me to put a screenshot somewhere, I can. If anyone's interested, I've been using the Credit Wise app available through Capital One. You don't have to be a customer to use it. And I use it to keep track of my credit score. I really like the simulator feature. There's you can go into it and you can simulate what would happen to your score in various scenarios, like applying for a mortgage or even closing a credit card. But again, I really don't want you to get hung up on the temporary hit that your credit score will take if it's for the sake of improving the overall hygiene or like streamlining your financial life, making it easier to manage. All right. So what about your oldest card? What should you do with it, especially if it's that starter card? This one kind of depends. Closing your oldest card, especially if it's that starter card, isn't necessarily the best move, especially if you're planning on buying a home, like applying for a mortgage, or making other big financial decisions soon. The reason is straightforward. Your oldest card contributes to your credit history length, which is one of the 3 main factors that impacts your credit score. And we really don't want to mess with that right before you're about to apply for a big loan. So if you don't have another card with equally long credit history, just stick this one in a drawer. Don't use it, but don't close it either, especially if it doesn't have an annual fee. All right, that's it for credit cards. I want you to remember credit is a tool, and if you know how to use it and play the game right, it can really, truly work for you. One last thing. If you walk away from this episode with one takeaway, let it be this. Do not use your credit card like free money. If you can get a handle on that, you win, and the credit card companies get nothing. Just for fun, if you want to see how corrupt the credit card industry is, do a search for the phrase deadbeat and credit card. See you next time.
Thanks for listening to The F Word with Priya Malani. If you like what you heard, hit subscribe wherever you're listening and leave us a review while you're at it. We're approval junkies. Don't forget, you can find a ton of great resources, content, courses, and other freebies at stashwealth.com. Now, for the capital S stuff our lawyers want us to say. StashWealth is a registered investment advisor. Content presented is for informational and educational purposes only and is not intended to make an offer or solicitation for any specific securities, product, service, or strategy. Consult with a qualified investment advisor, that's us, before implementing any strategy. Investing involves risk, including the loss of principal. Past performance does not guarantee future results. There, we said it.
Did I have that up?